On the eve of veterans reporting to training camp, Tommy Curran laying out the mood on NBCSportsBoston.com, writing this, quote, "I could argue it's been 2 decades since we've been bliss like this or seen bliss like this. Even when the Patriots were Godzilla to the rest of the league's Tokyo, some kind of camp drama was annually afoot. Contracts, controversies, cuts, crime, competition. It was always something. But this year, it's nothing at all. Seriously, no trepidation over an inexperienced head coach elevated too soon. No coach quarterback sniping. No offensive coordinator audition. No win now ultimatums. No Spygate, no Deflategate, no holdouts, and no hold-ins." Big statement. Welcome, everybody. Arbella Early Edition. Tommy Curran. We got Mike Giardi from Boston Sports Journal. We got our insiders here. I mean, really, Tom, to think that, yeah, no trepidation, all the good vibes, the bliss. Has it really been nearly 2 decades? And are we stepping into this week saying, hey, there's no drama?
Yeah, when you think about it, if you go back, whether it was Deion Branch's contract in 2006 or 2007, post Adam Vinatieri or 2000, all the way through, the Patriots always had some kind of drama or chaos or expectations placed upon them that were self-inflicted because it's good creative tension. But now I think with this team in particular, there is a feeling of optimism that at least they're on the right track, because even in the latter days of Bill, even if you have the greatest head coach of all time on the sideline, you wonder if he still is who he was. And then with Mayo last year, it was all fingers and toes crossed it would work out. You definitely know that this year will be better than last year. You can almost bet your life on it.
I was thinking about as I was driving in, other than the 7-8 week stretch in 2021-22 when they went on that tear and all of a sudden they were in first place not only in the AFC East but in the entire conference, that what happened before it, starting really in Brady's last year, then through the COVID year, and then what happened after that when they really kind of got exposed for what they were, and then you saw Bill clearly at the end of his rope, and then you go through the Mayo thing, and it has been a long time since you entered camp, not trying to twist yourself into a pretzel that this is headed in the right direction.
Right.
They got a real football coach. Is he the guy to take them to a Super Bowl? Well, he's never been there before, but he took Tennessee and pointed them in the right direction until injuries sort of laid that team down. So to me, there's just a better feeling. We came off the draft. You weren't even twisting yourself about the draft. You're like, hey, I remember him in college. Right. He was good. I talked to someone who loved this guy. Instead of well, Jalen Polk he's a good college player, but separate. Well, that's a hard time if you can't separate in the pros. So to me, it's a different vibe, a different feeling. Now they have to capture it. They have to take that in the right direction.
We have to look at last year, right, and how terrible of a season that was all around, from the offensive line, from the number of different moving parts there, to the coaching situation, whether you argue that Gerard Mayo was in a bad position to start with, however it panned out, it just was ugly, and it got worse to even worse. So you would imagine, okay, all things are looking up. It has to go up from here. But, Tom, when you look at just all of the pieces, and we still don't know, right? In OTAs, we see Drake May throwing those 4 early interceptions. Everyone's like, oh, my God, he threw 4 interceptions. What, is he not going to be as great in year 2? But then they started to quiet down. Noise started to calm down when he started to pick things up. So even with the mishaps maybe early on in training camp, what makes you so confident about this group that, hey, with maybe some of the mistakes that may happen early, they're still going to be pretty okay?
Intangibles. I think there's going to be organization, structure, and chemistry within the coaching staff that didn't exist. Strict, hard plans. And the Patriots acknowledged last year it's going to be a learning year for Gerard Mayo, too. Mayo himself acknowledged it. But, I think that they would all look back in hindsight and say you just can't learn on the job in the NFL in a market like this after the success you've had. Additionally, so that's going to improve because you had Vrabel had a year off. We can go on and on mentioning all the coaches across the NFL over the course of history who in their second time around after losing a job, as Vrabel did in Tennessee, were better. So all of the coaching staff from McDaniels to Doug Marrone is going to be improved. And then you have the tangible on-field situations. Christian Barmore should be ready from the beginning of camp, and that's, just one of a litany of places. Milton Williams, Christian Gonzalez is going to come back, and I'll let you take the offense and all the different things out there.
The coaching is important, obviously, because I think they know. This coaching staff knows how Mike wants them to play, and they've been working on that since the day Mike took over. And it was whether the players you targeted in free agency, the guys that you drafted, and then how they went through the spring with intentionality about this is what we're going to be. And yes, certain things, players can emerge, and maybe you have to take it a different direction. Guys don't play up to their potential, but like, he has a style that he wants to play, and he's trying to put his thumbprint all over this thing. So that's important to me. And then from a roster standpoint, it's a better roster. And I'm not saying it's a roster where some people are talking 11, 12, 13 wins. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking in general. They turned over 46% of the roster from last year. They needed to do that 2 years ago. So they did it now. There's some better players in place. And you hope with better coaching, some of the young guys that weren't good, the Jalen Polks, the Caden Wallaces, that didn't show, now have an opportunity to be coached up a little bit better and maybe live up to their advanced billing, which obviously neither one of those guys did last year.
Yeah, the roster seems more developed, more mature. I mean, I even look at guys like Morgan Moses, who has that leadership mentality and demeanor about him, just orchestrating and really guiding some of these guys, whether he's going to play a lot of minutes or not, on the offensive line.
Hey, Kayla, can I just, I love the Morgan Moses thing because we don't know. He's 34 years old, 12 years in the league. He's missed 3 games in each of the last 2 seasons, so maybe the age is catching up. He played through some injuries last year and maybe didn't play at the same level, but already what he's done for this football team from a leadership perspective, from having Will Campbell at his hip through the entirety of the offseason, like, I think that's critical. And if Will Campbell is ready to go, Morgan Moses gets a little credit there. There's I don't know what percentage you want to give him, but I think it's been important to have that kind of leadership as opposed to, say, Chuks Okorafor last year with Caden Wallace, right? I mean, totally different guy.
Real quick, I want to ask you.
Sure.
I love the word that you used, bliss. Like, my God, can we just appreciate that that word is even in discussion right now? But with all the bliss and seeing how long it's going to last, who's going to feel the heat? Who's feeling the heat going into camp?
Drake May. Drake May is going to feel the heat. Expectations are going to ratchet up for a second-year player who's taken 3rd overall to somehow, because of all that's around him, elevate extremely fast. And I don't think that's necessarily a realistic expectation because of how young he is, because of how inexperienced he was in college, because he doesn't know yet what he can't do. So May, then Vrabel, then Robert Kraft, I think, would be under some heat. Then I would say McDaniels, Steph Diggs, Terrell Williams, and then you can read the story online.
I'm surprised you threw Elliott Wolf in there, I think.
Elliott Wolf,
there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to bring him up, right? I mean,
lest we forget. Or chaos, or expectations placed upon them that were self-inflicted because there's good creative tension.